Hello, buddy. Today we have Giselle with us. She's an osteoarcheologist who loves uncovering history and helping people heal through archaeology. And she's done some amazing work alongside veterans in Operation Nightingale. So you might ask, what is this Operation Nightingale? So we'll get to it shortly and hear it from Giselle. Before we begin, I would like to welcome Giselle to our channel and thank her very much for taking the time and speaking with us. Thank you so much, Giselle, and welcome to our channel.
Thank you for having me.
Giselle, please tell us, where did you grow up? And did that place have any influence in your interest in history or archaeology?
So I grew up actually in the States, and I grew up in a Hungarian home. And so I always was interested in Hungarian history, but history in general, but it was interesting to know where I came from. And so I always liked it. And I didn't really realize there was a difference between history and archaeology until university. But I always was into, who am I and where did I come from?
Yeah, absolutely. What first drew you towards archaeology and what interests you most about studying human remains?
So when I went to university, I actually was studying physics and organic chemistry, and I thought maybe I wanted to be a doctor. And then you had to take an elective course. And so I took an elective course in human bones, and it just sounded fun. And I loved it. And actually, my lecturer said, "You're quite good at this. You should keep doing it." And so it was sort of the first time that I had a lecturer say, "You're good at something." And it kind of, it stuck in my head a little bit. And so then I started to read more books and get more involved in human remains. I ended up going on my first dig. And so it all kind of spiraled off of this one accidental course that I took in university.
Please tell me about your early days in archaeology and what was your first excavation like and what did you learn from it?
So my very first excavation was in Poland, and it was digging skeletons in basically the middle of nowhere. And it was, I mean, the biggest learning curve, I suppose, was not only how to dig, but also how field work works. So, you go out early in the morning, you come back, quite late in the day. It's quite hot, it's quite dry. There's some people who complain, and you have to
Yeah,
be happy and, willing to keep digging. And you might find nothing that day, and you have
yeah.
to still go, you know what, that was an accomplishment still. And so it was good to learn how to dig and learn the process of digging. And I really enjoyed it. And I kind of got hooked actually from that. I wanted to go on more and more digs because, I mean, I like books. I've always liked books. But there's
Yeah.
something different when you get your hands on the soil that's just, you can't teach that. You can't get it anywhere else besides when you're outside.
Is there one discovery that stuck with you and something you still think about today?
There's quite a few, if I can be completely honest. Recently, we found a cheese mold on site. So Roman people making cheese. I mean, as we all eat cheese, so it was quite a cool thing to find something so relatable. I've also found recently a polished hand axe, which was really cool to just find that. And that was just walking on the surface. I was walking around on site and I just saw it on the surface. So to come across that was just, I mean, unbelievable. But the best find I found, I think, maybe I'll change my mind if you ask me this again in a month. But I think my favorite find has been at a burial. It was an Anglo-Saxon burial, so medieval times. And
Yeah.
there was a female body that I was digging. And around the neck was a little purple amethyst bead. And
Oh,
finding that bead was like astounding because it was, somebody cared about this bead so much. We don't have amethyst naturally in England. So where did it come from? How many generations did it take to get here? And now I'm looking at something that someone cared about so much they wanted to be buried with. Now it's important to me. And I thought that's just the most amazing thing. So I think that's my favorite find so far.
yeah, that's amazing. Absolutely amazing. So, The Lancaster bomber and Second World War digs must have been fascinating experience, no doubt. What was your role in those projects, Lisa?
So on World War II recovery projects, I tend to be a digger and an osteologist. So I both do the general field work of sieving, of digging, of looking for any human remains. And then I also, I'm the person on site who people go, is this bone? And I come over and I go and check and see if it is bone or not. So I'm sort of have two different roles. And then sometimes I do some presenting and try and showcase what we're doing and the importance of it. So I'll do some work with television programs or something like that to kind of let the community know about what we're doing and why it's so important.
Is there anything from those experiences that you would like to share with our viewers today?
I think it's important to know that it's not just World War II and it's not just World War One. It's an active mission for the ones I work on are specifically American veterans, but it goes all the way into Korean War and Vietnam War, more recent things. So the idea of bringing families closure is still something that matters. It's not just World War One and World War Two, but it goes past that into modern day.
Please tell us, what is this Operation Nightingale?
So, Operation Nightingale is an initiative, it's a program by the Ministry of Defence here in England. And basically, we work with veterans who have low mental health and maybe low physical health, and we get them back on track after war. And we use archaeology as a way of rehabilitating. So, people get to come together as a group, they get to bond, they get to have a lot of, black humor, not very quite dark, humor, and start to heal with this new concept of changing dead bodies that are casualties in war and maybe your friends to dead bodies that are interesting, historical, and it reframes people's minds, which is a really special thing to witness.
Absolutely, absolutely. How did you first join Operation Nightingale, and what did it teach you about archaeology's healing path?
So I first joined Operation Nightingale maybe 5 or 6 years ago now. And basically, somebody who runs the program just said, we really need an osteologist on a site. And the site is on an island, and the island is eroding, and there's body parts coming out of the cliff. Can you come? And I said, that sounds really cool. So, absolutely. So I showed up and have just been going back to sites ever since. So I go all over the country now. And actually, I think next year we're going to try and go to France for a dig. So we're going international. So that
Uh,
will be quite cool when we do that.
so you were speaking about this island. Is this somewhere in UK, or is it far away? Is it? Can you talk about it a bit, if it's possible, if it's not confidential?
Yeah, so it's in the south part of England in a place called Portsmouth. It's within the Portsmouth area. There's a little island called Rat Island, and it's where in about the 1700s or so, there's a bunch of convict ships. So basically, prisoners were put on big ships because we didn't have the systems to house everyone on land. We put them in ships. And sometimes people died. And so they were buried on this island. And over time, the island starts to erode and the body parts start to show up. So we go in and we actually treat it as something for veterans, but we also teach the military police, the active military people, about body recovery and what to look for bones. And so it becomes a learning process as well. So it's helping veterans and helping military and saving the archaeology. So it's quite a few different things all at once. And everyone gets to bond and you get to see people feel better mentally. They get to feel useful if they physically have problems that they don't normally get to dig. So it's quite a special site, but just a special program overall.
You spend so much time working with veterans. Could you share a story how archaeology can positively impact people's lives?
Absolutely. There was a site. Oh gosh, there's so many stories actually because it helps so many people.
Yeah.
Um, There was one where there's a guy who a lot of his friends had died in a tank explosion, and he had tattoos, skull tattoos for each
Yeah,
one of them. And he was digging a body, and he started taking pictures of the body. And you're not really supposed to take too many photos, so we went over and go, "Oh, what are you taking the photos for?" And he said, "Oh, I'm just adding another skull to my arm because this has been really important to me, this dig." And so that was really impactful. But we've also had, there was I think this is my favorite story, which is that there was a tank, the tank tracks, so kind of like the tank wheels, and we knew there could be a body underneath them because that was unfortunately something that happened. So you lift the tank tracks up, and there was a body, and somebody who was digging it had a moment of dissociation, and their brain went back to war times. They were all a muddy brain basically. And so somebody who works in psychology and mental health brought them back to earth, so it's called grounding. And so once they were grounded, Operation Nightingale people said, you don't have to continue digging, it's okay. And he
yeah,
said, I want to keep digging. And you could hear him as he's troweling saying, I'm going to get you out, I'll bring you home. And it was just so special, that concept of crossing time with the same concepts. He couldn't bring his friends back from war, but he can bring this guy back. And so it's quite a special moment and brought him closure, which is really special.
you often say anyone can dig. So, how do you make sure archaeology feels welcoming and open to everyone?
Well, I have worked with people who have no legs and they can dig just fine. So basically, I mean, as long as someone can hold a trowel or can read through some history books or they can wash something. I mean, if you have no arms, you can look at something. If you have no legs, you can dig something. You're always able to be involved. So an archaeology site isn't just the physical action of digging. It's also the research, the learning, the talking to people. So there's so many aspects of an archaeology dig that anyone can take part.
Could you please share some common myths about archaeologists or excavations that you wish people understood better?
Oh, this is such a good question. So many people think that we find gold or we always find something every single day. And actually, so many times we don't find anything. We'll have a whole month where we might find nothing, but we're looking at ditches, so kind of the original fences, or we're looking at pits, which were the original rubbish bins. So when you look in these different features on a site, if you find nothing, that's okay, because it tells you that people actually weren't really there. And that still tells us something. But a lot of people think that archaeologists are just here for the treasure and here to find stuff. But gosh, it doesn't happen that often.
Yeah, exactly. So, Giselle, as someone who tells stories and teaches, how do you think things exciting from the viewer's point of view and also show the people what the true realities of fieldwork is?
I think it's important to keep history fun. And I think I don't want to learn about history if it's not fun. So I want to
Yeah,
make sure people get that fun side of history and fun side of archaeology. And
yeah,
so even the dull things that we do, just
yeah,
making it a bit more fun. I mean, it can just be having a laugh on a site when you can't find anything, or if it's raining, you know, embracing the fact that it's raining. That's all you have to do, and you can have a much
yeah,
better time. And it shows the realities, but it also keeps it interesting.
yeah. So, looking back, what advice would you like to give to younger Giselle or to someone who's just starting out in archaeology today?
I would say it's going to sound so cheesy, but just to keep digging. I mean, don't just focus on one site and think you know everything. There's so many different sites. There's a whole world of sites. I've never dug in Asia. I would love to. I mean, there's so many different spots in the world and different types of ground and so many different people who've lived that that cheese press and cheese mold that we just found. I'd never seen one of those, and I've been doing archaeology for 8 years now. So
And
over time, there's always more to learn. So you're never done learning. Definitely never done learning. So always keeping an open mind and be willing to dig on every site and go ask people if can I dig on your site? And always be a part
yeah,
of it. It'll be worth it.
yeah, absolutely. All right, Giselle, thank you so much for sharing all this valuable knowledge and information with us. We wish you continuous success in all aspects of your life. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you, Giselle. See you around. Bye.
Thank you.